Hi, my name's Anthony Webb from the Hunter Academy of Sport. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and this is the Hunter Academy of Sport Physical Development Training Portfolio. So the Physical Development Program Portfolio is basically a document that covers all the information that athletes need for each individual sport. So as you can see in the pictures here, these are examples from a couple of sports, from volleyball and from basketball. They give you a bit of a rundown of some of the information that's in each portfolio. Generally, there's three sections. The first section is information and resources. The second section is education and education material. And the third section is a number of different exercise programs. Each sport, however, has its own different sections and different types of programs geared towards the sport's specificity of that individual sport. So the first section to run through is information and resources. So there's two main sections to the portfolio. On the left there you can see the slide outlines the education information. So long-term benchmarks, the continuum of strength development, athlete scenarios, factors affecting jumping profile. These are examples from one sport that highlights the education section. On the right there, on the right slide, you can see with the training program breakdown, most sports have a range of different types of conditioning programs. So this is one example with strength programs up the top there. You can see there's three training blocks for this sport. There's prep and recovery programs, ankle strength and mobility, there's vertical jump, there's shoulder and thoracic. These are just examples. Some sports have these, some sports have extra ones like speed and endurance and core stability. There is a range of different programs that have been designed for your sport. So a brief rundown of the educational material. Okay, so every sport has the document on the left, the athlete scenario, which basically pits two athletes against one another, athlete 1 and athlete 2. Ideally, we all want to be in the blue. We want to be athlete 1, which describes all the good things that a fantastic, elite, highly developing young athlete has, all the attributes. On the right-hand side there, you can see in the red column has a number of things ideally that you don't really want to happen. So compares one against the other. Hopefully, we're all aiming to be in the blue. On the document on the right there, triple extension, this is a document out of the cycling program, which gives you a bit of an idea about some of the information that we're trying to educate about order of muscular recruitment and order of firing patterns with different muscles. So understanding a little bit more about education gives us a big idea about the things to emphasize with strength and conditioning training as well. So each different sport has a section on long-term benchmarks, and they all are individual to each sport. You can see up the top there, long-term benchmarks on the top left. From the movement, it explains and describes the different movements. It's then got the exercises and benchmarks. Most of them are relative to the athlete's body weight, so they are relative to the individual athlete as well. Now these are, it can't be emphasized enough, these are long-term benchmarks, and it does list in the little notes there that this is something that athletes need to aim towards within sort of 6 months to 18 months of training ongoing in a gym type situation. So some of them are quite advanced. Some athletes may never reach these. Some athletes might reach them in a short period of time. But it gives you a bit of an idea about different physical competencies that an athlete's aiming to strive for within a certain period of long-term training. The continuum of strength development, bottom left there, explains about a continuum of time in terms of if strength and conditioning is within an athlete's repertoire of skills, that what strength conditioning will actually do will improve their ability to keep on enhancing performance and to decrease injury long term. So the document on the right there, factors affecting jumping profile, this gives you a bit of an idea about how we look at testing and how we outline the different components of different sorts of testing. So for jumping athletes, like basketball and volleyball squads, this document's in there, gives us an outline of the different characteristics that make up someone creating vertical power and vertical energy. So the things we can't forget about is thoracic spine, shoulder range of motion, leg strength. It's not just about power and strength. There's lots of different elements that make up the physical attributes to produce a good quality, sound movement for an athlete. So hopefully these describe all the different bits of information to emphasize all the different areas that we need to focus on for strength and conditioning. So the next section is to explain the exercise programs. So there's two basic different types of what's called program matrix. This is just a breakdown of all of the later programs in the document. It puts it all on one page. So for most of the seasonal sports, the basketball, the netball, and the hockey, you have a breakdown that looks something like this. Initially, there's a 4-block breakdown for strength and conditioning. So you can see there's 4 different sections up the top. We've basically broken them into 2 weeks at a time. And they've also got a speed program that goes over a couple of months, an endurance program that goes over a couple of months, and a recovery program. So they are intermingling a little bit. There is recovery sections within the speed and endurance and strength, but the recovery programs just exaggerate a little bit more of what can be done if you want to emphasize that particular part of training. So for the individual sports like the golf and the triathlon are examples, a program matrix more looks like this. So there's 3 individual strength training blocks. Each training block goes for 4 weeks. The initial block basically has exercises that can be done at home, and block 2 and block 3 are programs that ideally are done with gym equipment. Preparation and recovery, we've done that for individual sports, particularly for triathlon. So there's prep and recovery for the run, the ride, and the swim. Other sports just have recovery, of course, for their sports and their disciplines. And depending on the sport, you've got different individual programs as well for ankle strength and mobility, for core stability, shoulder and thoracic mobility. Some sports have load transferal, like the baseballs and the golf. And there are even examples of pure vertical jump programs for the basketballs and the volleyballs as well. So we try to be as specific as we can, focusing on those specific components for each individual sport. So this is the block breakdown document. It gives an example of what would be ideal for each athlete to follow. So up the top there, you can see block 1, weeks 1 to 4, and it's got the days Monday to Sunday. So on the first day there, you can see there's basketball home skills, there's home strength. On the Tuesdays, they're different colours. Tuesday and Thursday, there's endurance programs. There's squad training of an afternoon in the blue there. There's different home strength programs on different days. So basically it gives a breakdown of what an ideal week should look like for each individual athlete. Now what we can do is athletes can actually come and see us strength and conditioning coach staff and can get tweaks and adjustments to this as well. So if something that doesn't quite fit or your days with your individual sports and coaches, maybe you're in a different team or squad, maybe they don't fit these exactly, you can come and actually see us and get a bit of a twist or some advice on how some of these things might fit in. But ideally, we were after each athlete trying to squeeze in all these different types of programs into their weekly schedule. It might be a lot of programming, it might be a little bit based on what's ideal for your needs and your recovery and to get the right amount of training in for each individual athlete. Alrighty, so the first section is the strength programs. Now with the standard strength programs for each sport, ideally what we've done for each block, which is 4 weeks for each sport, the programs are designed to be able to be done at home. So you don't really need any extra gear apart from just basically a chair or maybe a band at home, but mostly not even that. The programs can be done over 4 weeks, hopefully 1 to 3 times a week, and it's just the first block where minimal equipment's needed. So if we look at an example of block 3, you can see these exercises are basically designed to be done in a gym type situation. There's lat pulls and Russian twists and deadlifts. So with these exercises, they are ideally at a slightly more advanced level for each individual athlete. We can see here that there's warm-up sections, there's conditioning sections, and there's recovery sections. So it does include the stability and the flexibility and the strength all there at the same time. Now keeping in mind too that athletes have the benefit of coming and seeing us if they want tweaks or adjustments to these programs. They can see us and we can give a bit of an individual twist on these programs as well. So the next type of programs are speed programs. These are really only given for the field sports. So these are examples of some of the speed programs. You can see up the top there, it's got the program description in the blue box. The prep is in the green, and it's got 2 separate drills. So ideally, we're doing 2 drills per session. Each drill lasts between sort of 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how many times you practiced it and how advanced the drill is. Gives you a bit of an idea of recovery and the abbreviations down there in the yellow. The explanations of the program are actually in there. So you can see basically the only equipment you need is witches' hats or a few basic bits of equipment for your sport, maybe a ball, maybe a stick for hockey, but you can see you're basically running different patterns that are sport specific with the rest breaks and the work to rest ratios for your sport as well. The endurance programs. So the endurance programs are written with the same format basically as the speed programs. You can see up the top there, the description is in blue with a bit of an idea of intensity with different components. The green section there is the preparation for your workout as well, and it's got basically there the different endurance programs with an explanation of how to actually complete them in the box in the white in the middle. Recoveries in the green, abbreviations for how to understand them down the bottom as well. So basically you'll need a bit more space to be able to complete these, usually on a field or a park. Equipment you'll need is usually cones and things like that, and mostly these programs are written for the field type sports. We don't write them so much for triathlon because that's done amongst the sport, but all of the field sports, like the netballs and the basketballs and the hockey, they have all of these programs in and amongst their portfolios. Preparation and recovery programs. Every sport has examples of these and has programs in and amongst their portfolios. So these are examples of some of the preparation programs specifically. So you can see this one we've knocked off straight from triathlon. It's got running prep and swimming prep, the two separate programs. Basically, you need minimal equipment, minimal gear, minimal space. With the preparation programs too, we include a lot of information on general dynamic warm-ups, as well as some activation and plyometric drills in there to get you ready for your sport. The recovery programs, this is riding recovery and running recovery. So each sport has its own specific recovery based on the needs of what you have for your sport. Ideally, they're to be done after each strength session or conditioning session, as well as skill sessions for your sport as well. So there's a list of different exercises and bits and pieces in there to help to decrease your load from your sport and bring your muscle tone back to normal resting levels, to decrease the incidence of injuries as well. You can also come and see us as strength and conditioning staff and get different twists and different alterations to these if you do have individual injuries and bits and pieces like that as well. You just have to come and find us. So a program common to a lot of sports, we do include this in the general strength, but for a lot of sports, we want to emphasize how important ankle strength and mobility is as well. So ankle strength and mobility program is a program that can be done alongside your general strength program. It can even be adjusted and tweaked and put into your warm-ups and cool-downs as well. A lot of young athletes do not have strength that's sufficient enough around the ankles or the ability to absorb load. So shin issues, calf, Achilles issues, even foot mechanics are not ideal, particularly for a lot of running sports, basketball, hockey, tennis, soccer, netball, even sports like volleyball where there's a lot of jumping as well. So the mechanics of your feet, superiorly important that they function really well. Flexibility and strength among these areas, you can see, has been emphasized in the different programs. So more than a couple of sports have also got what's called the vertical jump program. Okay, so vertical jump program is particularly for sports like basketball and volleyball, which exaggerates the skills you need to have a better vertical jump and explosiveness off the ground. So for multiple sports for Hunter Academy who have to have their arms in an overhead position like swimming and basketball, volleyball, netball, have shoulder and thoracic mobility programs as well. So this is a really important program for athletes who want to have power and strength and good stability overhead, and exaggerates and emphasizes the ability of good core stability for overhead reaching movements. So this is once again a program that is an accessory to your main strength program. We can put elements of this in and amongst around your normal strength and conditioning main general strength block program. So shoulder and thoracic mobility is superiorly important. You can see here you don't need a lot of equipment for this type of program as well. So foam rollers, Swiss balls, basic equipment. A lot of people can actually complete these ones at home, but it's an extra program to add to your normal general strength program. Usually we incorporate this in a lot of warm-ups and cool-downs or accessory exercises amongst some of your bigger loaded exercises. So if your core works well and you have good thoracic position, your overhead skill and strength tends to be very good. Core stability training programming. So as anyone could argue, core stability training and core stability efficiency is highly important for any sport. Some sports have this where we've emphasized a number of things with control and stability through the core, thoracic position, the ability to endure, but particularly sports like golf and baseball, we've put in exercises to work on load transferal amongst other things, and the ability to hold good position through powerful movements. So you can see there's a breakdown of the basic exercises in a short frame as well. We've also got them in an exaggerated format, and you can refer to them also in the programming matrix for all their exercises and sets and reps. Load transferal. So the baseball, softball sports as well as golf has programs on these, basically teaching an athlete to transfer load efficiently through the body. So sports that use what's called the kinetic link principle or transferal of load and energy through the body, they will benefit from this type of programming where there's exercises to load up certain recruitment muscles and then teach an athlete to actually transfer load from one part of the body through the other, which is exactly what's done in the sporting movements. So just a quick rehash on the services for all Hunter Academy athletes in the green there. So as well as your portfolio, which is a document that's given to all athletes, basically what you'll have as part of being in a Hunter Academy program is you'll have squad testing sessions. Now some sports have one of these, some squads have 2 or 3 based on the amounts of tests and things that we do complete for each sport. You'll also have testing review session. You'll get that face-to-face. It's usually a PowerPoint session in the Hunter Academy gym. And we also do narrated documents for these as well, so you can have a bit of a breakdown of how to look at your individual testing results and understand how they work and how to improve your individual skills. Education sessions, which is a separate document as well. We do that face-to-face in the gym for most sports, but we also offer that online as a separate narrated YouTube clip as well. Additional services coming later in 2021, early 22 as well for most sports is we have extra testing sessions. So as well as the 1 to 2 standard sessions for each sport, you can always come along to extra days, which we offer. You have to refer back to Team App to have a look at these. But if you want to come and do extra testing sessions, they're optional for individual athletes to come and do as well. We also have extra strength and conditioning sessions. So if you want to learn more about using a barbell, or you learn more about cardiovascular stuff or speed plyometric work, we offer different sessions at different times. Once again, you have to check Team App for these, but we will offer these later on into the year for information around your actual exercises in your program as well. We do offer, and people don't take this up enough, one-on-one discussions or just days to sit down to assist individual athletes. So you can organise a meeting with us for 10 to 15 minutes at the end of a session, or you can come into the Hunter Academy offices and sit down with one of the strength and conditioning staff and go through information on programming if you have questions about how to implement it best for yourself with the exercises. And your individual goals and testing information, we can actually adjust and tweak some of the programs that are there for yourself as well. On top of that, if you'd like a lot of extra additional service, we also have the Hunter Academy Advanced Strength and Conditioning Training Package Squad, which is basically a separate squad where there is a cost, but you do get a more advanced level of individual exercise programs and plans and periodized plans. We do testing, which is ongoing as well. You'll come into the gym and do face-to-face sessions multiple days a week, and basically all your strength and conditioning needs at a high level, at an elite level, are met for that. Like I said, it does come to at an extra cost. I run that program myself for about 40 to 50 athletes per week. We see multiple times. So if you'd like any more information from that, you can see Sally and Brett and Bianca in the office, or you can come and access me through Team App or through the Hunter Academy as well. Thanks, this is Anthony Webb for the Hunter Academy of Sport.